The 200 Club of Morris County proudly presents this video tribute to honor all the members of our police, fire, EMS, and state troopers who serve or reside in Morris County. Present conditions this year have restricted the organization from holding our Valor and Meritorious Award celebration event. Our 48th annual celebration honoring these distinguished American heroes will be different, but no less important, respectful, and honorable. In this tribute, we will recognize all those first responders who during the past year have exhibited actions of bravery and courage beyond their normal duties and are deserving recipients of our Valor and Meritorious Awards. A brief word about our organization. Since 1971, the 200 Club of Morris County has given over $5 million towards the survivor families of our county's fallen first responders. In the past year, we have given over $100,000 in college scholarships to those in our first responder family. Our membership is strong and giving of their time, talents, and treasures. In the same light, our organization greatly appreciates all our sponsors who help us support our county's first responders. The program will commence with our acknowledgement of these sponsorships, followed by our 2020 tribute. Video of this event will be complemented by some previous dinner events. Sheriff James Gannon will serve as the Master of Ceremonies of the program.
If I could ask everyone to please stand and welcome the Morris County Police Honor Guard and the Police Pipes and Drums of Morris County as they lead the honorees procession. If I could ask everyone to please join in a salute to the best nation on earth. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Good evening and welcome to the Birchwood Manor for the 48th Annual VALOR Awards Tribute. I am Sheriff Jim Gannon, the very proud Master of Ceremonies and former President and Chairman of the Board of the 200 Club of Morris County. Tonight is the 200 Club's very special and most sacred evening. We'll celebrate the life, bravery, and extraordinary actions of Morris County's public safety community. You'll hear about life-saving incidents, fires, homicides, shooting victims, fatal motor vehicle collisions, the police grappling with subjects with a gun, knife, and a metal pipe. Our honorees are commended for these heroic and selfless acts. And most importantly, everybody went home at the end of their shift. As their careers have evolved, there have been the added stresses of a changing world with a global pandemic and COVID-19, economic downturn, social unrest, and terrorism. We honor the difficult and dangerous job faced by all first responders in light of this changing world. To our public safety community, your professions are under scrutiny by the public today. The 200 Club of Morris County stands with you and supports you in the good times and the bad times. We salute you, the American hero, that ordinary person facing extraordinary circumstances and acting with courage, honor, and self-sacrifice. At this point, I'd like to observe a moment of silence for all fallen public safety officers and members of our armed services. Thank you. God bless each and every one of you. It is now my honor to introduce a friend, a colleague, and an all-around great guy in Jim Rizzo, the president of the 200 Club of Morris County, for your remarks. President Rizzo.
Thank you very much, Sheriff. I've been a proud member of this organization for some 30 years. I've served on the executive committee for the past 15. I would like to thank the executive committee and our members, board members, chairpeople, for having the confidence in me to serve as a president of this fine organization. A special thanks to all of you first responders and loyal supporters out there. I am told that a club is judged by its members, and its members are judged by the choice of their clubs. If that is the case, then we are all a part of an elite organization. Because over the years, I have had the pleasure of working with some of the finest people you would ever want to be associated with. A club is a group of people associated for a common purpose. By its nature, the club has more than one person. It is therefore especially important that we all move forward with our mission and contribute to the club and be as transparent as possible. The club was formed in the early 70s and has survived ever since because of a group of dedicated people that were united for a common mission to support the first responders. I, for one, am grateful and proud to be associated with such an outstanding organization and want to make it a priority to get us as many people as possible to recognize this. Join us in our efforts by increasing scholarships, benefits, awards, membership awareness, strength in numbers, and to support our everyday training at the Morris County Training Academy for our cadets. I remember as a kid that there were roughly a dozen jobs in the world that made a difference, I was told. Amongst them, and in no particular order, was the military, police officers, firefighters, teachers, clergy. This got me thinking that what we do in the 200 Club is even more important than one might think. Our first responders can truly make a difference in the outcome of people's lives by the choices that they make during their first response. And it is our responsibility to try and give them something back. It's been a commitment throughout my life to make a difference in supporting first responders, along with various children's charities. To all you first responders out there, you could have allowed any one of these adversities you confronted to destroy you. Instead, you let it define you and strengthen you. Thank you. Congratulations for that. The definition of a hero is an ordinary individual who is admired for courage, outstanding achievements, noble qualities. First responders are heroes every day when they wake up and go to work. Although, unfortunately, the media tends to overcast these efforts at times. The club has shown its strength over the years and welcomes everybody here to please participate in its great success and its continuation. Please view on all our social media to see what good we are doing and how you could contribute. We are all there waiting for you with open arms. Be safe. God bless you and all your loved ones. And thank you again for the opportunity.
Award Group Number 1, Meritorious Honorees. Hanover Township, Fire District Number 2. Firefighter Ben Bradley. Firefighter Michael Cowley. October 11th, 2019, at approximately 5:53 p.m., the Hanover Township Police Department began receiving multiple 911 calls about a structure fire on Harvest Court. The report stated there were 2 people still inside the structure. Crews at the station heard the message on the police radio and began responding as the dispatch was sent over the fire paging system. Upon arrival of the first due engine, the crew observed heavy smoke coming from the structure. They were met by an officer from the Hanover Township Police Department and advised that one of the occupants was on the second floor balcony in the rear of the building. Firefighters Ben Bradley and Michael Cowley immediately exited the engine and went into rescue mode. They took a ground ladder to the rear of the structure where they saw a woman on the second-story balcony with no way of getting down. Firefighters Bradley and Cowley deployed the ladder and rescued the trapped woman from the balcony while heavy smoke poured from the unit. She was safely removed and then treated by EMS on the scene before being transported to Morristown Medical Center. After the rescue, firefighters Cowley and Bradley assisted with extinguishing and overhaul of the fire. The 200 Club of Morris County hereby awards the Meritorious Service Award to firefighter Ben Bradley and firefighter Michael Cowley of Hanover Township Fire District Number 2. Congratulations. Award Group Number 2, Meritorious Honorees. From the Chester Volunteer Fire Company Number 1, Deputy Chief William N. Chiquinto and firefighter Craig Wallenstein. Please come up to the stage. On November 16th, 2019, a call was dispatched as a residential fire on North Road in Chester Township with an entrapment. Patrolman Nick Salamone and Patrolman Tyler Schwartz of the Chester Police Department arrived on the scene and quickly attempted a forced entry through the front door. Their actions put them in harm's way as they ambitiously attempted to gain access to help the entrapped occupants and aid in the rescue of an elderly woman who was unaccounted for. Chester Volunteer Fire Company Number 1 Deputy Chief Chiquinto and firefighter Wallenstein arrived and made entry into the rear of the home. Due to the extreme conditions, the fire had to be knocked down before a search could be conducted. They utilized a thermal imaging camera, which enabled them to locate a female in the kitchen. The woman was removed from the house via the front door, and CPR was immediately initiated by the firefighters. Chester First Aid Squad EMS Chief Jason Dilley and EMT Kelly Banco soon arrived and took over with CPR. Additional members of the Chester First Aid Squad arrived and aided in the resuscitation attempt. Unfortunately, the woman succumbed to her injuries. The 200 Club of Morris County hereby awards the Meritorious Service Award to Deputy Chief William N. Chiquinto and firefighter Craig Wallenstein of the Chester Volunteer Fire Company Number 1. Congratulations, men.
Congratulations.
Award Group number 3, Meritorious Honorees. From the Netcong Borough Police Department, Sergeant Anthony K. Capolella and Patrolman Samuel J. Riley. Please come up to the stage. At 6:45 a.m. on Sunday, December 22nd, 2019, Sergeant Capolella and Patrolman Riley were dispatched to a commercial building fire on Maple Avenue in the borough of Netcong. The structure is quite large, housing 10 businesses and an upstairs apartment. When these officers arrived, heavy smoke and flames could be seen coming from the south side of the building. Despite these conditions, Sergeant Capolella and Patrolman Riley entered the first floor and began evacuating customers in the laundromat, which was filling with smoke and fire. After evacuating these individuals, they made their way to the second floor to check the apartment and the businesses for occupants. After checking most of the second floor offices and apartment, they were forced to retreat due to excessive heat, smoke, and flames. Sergeant Capolella and Patrolman Riley placed themselves in an extremely dangerous situation by entering a burning building without the benefit of firefighting or breathing apparatus. However, doing so ensured that others would not be harmed. They are to be commended for their quick action and heroism. The 200 Club of Morris County hereby awards the Meritorious Service Award to Sergeant Anthony K. Capolella and Patrolman Samuel J. Riley of the Borough of Netcong Police Department. Congratulations, men. Awards Group number 4, VALOR Honorees. From the Florham Park Police Department, Patrolman Devin Hinchcliffe, Sergeant Brian Mensing, Patrolman Joseph Rega, Patrolman Richard Ronsky. Please come up to the stage. On March 1st, 2019, at approximately 11:13 p.m., dispatch received several 911 calls reporting screams for help coming from a home on Circle Drive. When patrols arrived, they located 2 people in a second-floor window of a home which had smoke pouring from it. Officer Devin Hinchcliffe attempted to crawl through the front door of the home to make his way to the second story, but was pushed back by the intense heat and smoke from the fire. Sergeant Brian Mensing arrived and sought the assistance of neighbors in procuring ladders. Officers Joseph Rega and Richard Ronsky arrived shortly thereafter, and together, the 4 officers used 3 ladders to climb approximately 15 feet to the second floor of the structure. They successfully helped rescue a man and woman head first through the bedroom window and down the ladders to safety. Dashcam video footage showed the woman being carried from the ladders by 2 unknown residents who assisted the officers while they returned to save her husband. The rescue was extremely challenging because the woman appeared to be dead weight and was difficult to carry. This rescue posed a high level of risk to the officers, faced with removing her from the second floor window and carrying her down 3 separate ladders. We applaud them for taking immediate and decisive action in the face of severely hazardous conditions prior to the arrival of the fire department. The 200 Club of Morris County hereby awards the coveted VALOR Award to Patrolman Devin Hinchcliffe, Sergeant Brian Mensing, Patrolman Joseph Rega, and Patrolman Richard Ronsky of the Florham Park Police Department. Congratulations.
Chief Joseph Orlando, Florham Park Police Department.
Good evening. I want to first thank the 200 Club for honoring us and my officers here tonight, and I want to congratulate Officer Richard Ronsky, Sergeant Brian Mensing, and Patrolman Devin Hinchcliffe, and also Officer Joseph Raga, who couldn't be here today. Again, I want to congratulate you for your outstanding service to the residents of Florham Park and for putting your personal safety at risk to help the citizens during this event. Congratulations.
Award Group Number 5, VALOR honorees. From the Butler Police Department, Patrolman Matthew Kennedy and Sergeant Keith Sewells. Please come up to the stage. On December 31st, 2019 at 4:54 p.m., Butler Dispatch received a 911 call from a citizen advising that a home on Myrtle Avenue was on fire. The caller saw flames inside the home, could smell smoke, and heard the smoke detectors going off. Sergeant Keith Sewells and Patrolman Matthew Kennedy responded and advised dispatch that they had a working structure fire. Neighbors on the scene advised they could hear someone screaming inside by the back door. Sergeant Sewells found a burn victim laying on his stomach inside the kitchen door. As flames poured out of the doorway, Sergeant Sewells made numerous attempts to pull the man from the flames. As the fire was raging, Patrolman Kennedy arrived and assisted Sergeant Sewells with pulling the man out onto the deck. The man was then pulled onto the lawn away from the approaching flames. The man suffered severe burns over most of his body and was still breathing. EMTs and medical professionals began treating him along with responding officers so that he could be medevaced to St. Barnabas Burn Center. During the rescue, Sergeant Sewells received second-degree burns to his face and hand and was subsequently transported to Chilton Hospital for treatment. While extinguishing the fire, Butler, Kinnelon, and Bloomingdale fire personnel located another resident on a couch in a room adjacent to the kitchen. Unfortunately, the woman was deceased. A subsequent investigation ensued with assistance from the Morris County Sheriff's Office, the Morris County Prosecutor's Office, the Morris County Medical Examiner's Office, and Butler fire officials. Sadly, the man did not survive the ordeal and passed away at St. Barnabas the following morning. While this was a very tragic ending, Sergeant Sewells and Patrolman Kennedy are to be commended for their heroism. They knowingly risked their personal safety to render assistance to our community members. The 200 Club of Morris County hereby awards the coveted VALOR Award to Patrolman Matthew Kennedy and Sergeant Keith Sewells of the Butler Police Department. Congratulations, men.
Chief Chiro Chimento of the Butler Police Department.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank the Morris County 200 Club for their generosity in honoring my officers with this more than prestigious award. It's truly a blessing, and I thank the Morris County 200 Club. Secondly, I'd like to thank Sergeant Keith Sewells and Patrolman Matthew Kennedy for going above and beyond the call of duty. Their courage and bravery is second to none, and I'd like to thank them for their efforts on that particular day. Thank you and congratulations.
Award Group number 6, VALOR honorees. From the Wharton Borough Police Department, Patrolman Avelino Fernandez Jr. and Corporal Richard Arnellis. Please come up to the stage. On February 27, 2019, Corporal Richard Arnellis and Patrolman Avelino Fernandez Jr. were dispatched to a medical call on Irondale Road in Wharton. The caller reported a possible cardiac arrest at the address. When they arrived, they spoke with the resident, who denied there being a medical emergency at that location, and that they determined that nobody from that residence had dialed 911 and no one was in need of medical aid. Both officers decided to check the same house number on Old Irondale Road to determine if that was the origin of the call. As they prepared to leave, however, a 19-year-old man came up behind the officers and attempted to strike Corporal Arnellis in the head with a metal pipe. Patrolman Fernandez verbally warned Corporal Arnellis just as Corporal Arnellis saw the suspect in his peripheral vision, and he was able to avoid being struck in the head. The officers drew their service weapons and ordered the suspect to drop the pipe, but he refused to obey their orders and continued to swing the pipe at the officers while begging for them to shoot him. This begging is commonly known as an attempt at suicide by cop. Corporal Arnellis closed the distance between himself and the man in order to take him to the ground. While doing so, the man swung the pipe at his head. Corporal Arnellis raised his left arm to protect himself and was struck in his forearm. The blow was so forceful that it shattered the ulnar bone in his left forearm. Despite now suffering a broken arm, Corporal Arnellis took the suspect into custody with the assistance of Patrolman Fernandez. While in custody, the suspect explained that his intention was to knock one of the officers out and take their gun. Had he succeeded in striking Corporal Arnellis in the head, the injury could have been fatal. Upon administrative review of the incident, it is likely that the officers would have been justified in using deadly force in response to the immediate threat they faced. Instead, Corporal Arnellis chose to tackle the suspect, which resulted in him suffering a broken arm which required surgery to repair. Both Corporal Arnellis and Patrolman Fernandez demonstrated courageous behavior during this incident. Their training, attention to their surroundings, and courage proved to be invaluable in avoiding a potential tragedy. The 200 Club of Morris County hereby awards the coveted VALOR Award to now recently promoted Corporal Avelino Fernandez Jr. and recently promoted Detective Richard Arnellis of the Wharton Borough Police Department. Congratulations.
Chief David Young of the Wharton Borough Police Department.
I'd like to thank the 200 Club for these awards given out tonight. I'd like to congratulate Detective Arnellis and Corporal Fernandez for their quick actions on the day of this incident and their courageous activities they did that day. I'd also like to congratulate the rest of the recipients this evening. Congratulations and stay safe.
Awards Group number 7, VALOR and Meritorious Honorees from the Denville Township Police Department. VALOR honorees, Police Officer Adam A. Temporale and Police Officer Robert C. Tucker. Meritorious honoree, Police Officer Matthew S. Zerlo. Please come up to the stage. On September 28, 2019, at approximately 12 noon, Officer Adam Temporale and trainee Officer Robert Tucker were on patrol observing traffic on Route 10 westbound when they saw a vehicle commit 2 motor vehicle violations. A motor vehicle stop was conducted, and in the initial phase of the stop, all went very rudimentary for a normal stop. Officer Tucker initiated contact with the driver, asking for his credentials and advising him of the reason for the stop. The driver complied without incident or complaint. Upon returning to their patrol car, they learned that the driver's license of the operator was suspended. At this point, Officer Temporale began explaining to Officer Tucker the procedures that would need to be completed moving forward. After summonses were written and the procedures were discussed, Officer Temporale spoke with the driver while Officer Tucker was his cover officer, observing the interaction between them. Officer Temporale asked the driver to exit his vehicle due to his license suspension. As he began to exit, the driver reached in and grabbed a handgun, which was later determined to be a pellet gun. Officer Temporale immediately yelled "gun" and grabbed the driver and the hand in which he held the gun. The two began struggling, and the driver yelled, "Shoot me!" Another suicide by cop reference. Officer Tucker drew his weapon but didn't fire because Officer Temporale was engaged in a struggle with the driver. Officer Temporale was able to disarm the driver and secure the weapon, but both officers had to engage the driver as he began fighting them. The three of them went to the ground, with the driver continuing to arrest by kicking, throwing punches, and attempting to grab the officer's gun. The driver then broke free and pulled a knife from his pocket. He continued asking the officers to shoot him, but didn't advance at them. As more officers arrived on scene, the driver put the knife to his throat, and it became obvious that he was attempting to commit suicide by cop. The officers recognized this and began switching their tactics from possibly taking a life to saving a life. We refer to the fact that police officers wear 2 hats. They wear the hat of a warrior when people have guns and knives, and they wear the hat of guardian when people are having mental health issues. Officer Matthew Zerlo arrived as backup and began negotiating with the driver. Due to the interactions between Officer Temporale and the driver, it was clear that Officer Zerlo had a great connection with the driver. For 30 minutes, they discussed why it would be best for the driver, who was now considered a victim, to drop the knife and seek help for the issues he was having. Officer Zerlo's life experiences and police training enabled him to convince the driver to drop his knife. He was then taken into custody, charged and processed, but was also taken to a hospital to receive the psychological help he needed. Officer Temporale and Tucker immediately responded to a threat of deadly force, putting their lives in danger, and ultimately saved the life of a man who put them in danger in the first place. They, along with Officer Zerlo, are to be commended for their heroism and sound judgment during a life-threatening situation, which resulted in saving the life of another. The 200 Club of Morris County hereby awards the coveted VALOR Award to Police Officer Adam A. Temporale and Police Officer Robert C. Tucker, and a Meritorious Award to Police Officer Matthew S. Zerlo. Congratulations.
Chief Frank Perna of the Denville Township Police Department.
I'd like to thank the 200 Club Association. I'd like to thank these two fine officers who put their lives on the line. I'd like to thank all of Denville Police Department. Thank you very much.
Awards Group number 8, VALOR honorees. From the Jefferson Township Police Department, Chief Sean Conrad and Patrolman Matthew Saporito. From the Morris County Office of Emergency Management, Special Operations Group, Commander Jeffrey S. Paul. And the Morris County Sheriff's Emergency Response Team, or CERT, Corporal Matthew Salerso. Please come up to the stage. At 11:23 p.m. on July 14, 2019, the Morris County Communications Center received a 911 call reporting that a man was shot multiple times and was inside a house on Mirror Place in Jefferson Township. The Jefferson Township Police Department requested response from the Morris County Sheriff's Emergency Response Team and the Morris County Office of Emergency Management Special Operations Group, or SOG, to the reported shooting, homicide, and possible barricaded gunman in a residence with 2 young children and a victim who was shot multiple times, laying wounded and bleeding inside. Jefferson Township Police were notified that Morris County Communications had a shooting victim on the 911 call. Public safety operators spoke with the victim, who told them that 2 young children were in another bedroom in the house. The victim reported being shot multiple times, and given the extent of his injuries, he could not move to exit the house or ascertain the safety of the children. One of the gunshots was to his thigh, and he was bleeding profusely. Dispatchers also are sometimes emergency medical dispatchers and emergency medical technicians. And I have to say that they provide a level of comfort and a lot of professionalism and a lot of information to these officers who were responding on this call. And certainly my hat's off to all of them. These operators provided bleeding control instructions to the man until he could be rescued by law enforcement. They provided critical information to responding Jefferson Township police officers and CERT officers that allowed the officers to make critical and quick tactical decisions at the scene. Upon the arrival of Corporal Matthew Salerso of the Morris County Sheriff's Emergency Response Team, he's a team leader, and Morris County Office of Emergency Management SOG Commander Jeffrey Paul, they were advised that a female shooting victim was deceased outside one of the nearby homes. According to the on-scene briefing, the team was advised that the shooter's current whereabouts were unknown and it was possible the shooter was still inside the residence. In addition, it was reported that 2 children, both under the age of 10, were still in a bedroom, along with a second male shooting victim, who was reportedly shot multiple times and was lying on the floor in the residence bleeding, in need of immediate life-saving aid. Based on the exigency of the situation, an emergency assault plan for hostage rescue was developed and immediately implemented. A determination was made that the primary assault would be made into the residence to rescue the children and provide immediate life-saving aid to the wounded victim. Corporal Salerso, Commander Paul, Chief Conrad, and Patrolman Saporito made entry to the residence. Fortunately, the children were physically unharmed and were immediately rescued. Additional SIRT officers, including members of the Jefferson Township Police Department, continued to search and clear the home for the alleged shooter. Simultaneously, Commander Paul immediately provided life-saving aid and treatment to the wounded man. He was quickly joined by Detective Sergeant Chrissy Kovach, a member of the Special Operations Group, and Morris County Park Police Officer Christian DiGirolamo, a member of the Morris County Sheriff's Emergency Response Team. All three worked together to stop all life-threatening bleeding from critical wounds and took care of all necessary medical interventions that needed to be performed before the patient could be removed from the residence to the hospital. Ultimately, the SOG team, along with CERT members in the Jefferson Township Police, carried the male victim out of the residence to the Jefferson Rescue Squad ambulance that was waiting nearby, and St. Clair's hospital paramedics on board. The man was promptly transported to the Morristown Medical Center Level 1 Trauma Unit with OEM SOG on board assisting with the medical care. The Morris County Sheriff's Emergency Response Team is a team of highly trained, integrated officers from the Morris County Sheriff's Office, the Morris County Park Police, and many Morris County Municipal Police Departments, in partnership with the Morris County Chiefs of Police Association, that respond to emergencies and incidents where lives are imperiled. The Morris County Office of Emergency Management Special Operations Group, or SOG, is a joint partnership between the Morris County Sheriff's Office, the Morris County Chiefs of Police Association, St. Clair's Health, Atlantic Health System, and the Office of Emergency Management. They're a highly trained group of medical professionals that train specifically for these types of incidents. That SOG team is embedded with our CERT team, or SWAT team, on all deployments to provide immediate medical integration and life-saving action. Years of high-level coordinated training between county law enforcement agencies, CERT and SOG, were demonstrated during this incident with a seamless integration of both tactical operations, rescue efforts, and life-saving medical interventions, all of which occurred simultaneous with the Jefferson Township Police Department. Without question, Corporal Matthew Salerso, SOG Commander Jeffrey Paul, Chief Sean Conrad, and Patrolman Matthew Saporito put themselves at great risk by entering the residence knowing that they could have encountered the gunman and possibly have engaged in a firefight. Knowing that risk, they bravely entered with a focus and coordinated plan to save the children and provide life-saving aid to the victim. They all displayed extraordinary courage, which went well above the call of duty. For that, we owe them a great deal of gratitude. The 200 Club of Morris County hereby awards the coveted VALOR Award to Jefferson Township Police Chief Sean Conrad and Patrolman Matthew Saporito. From the Morris County Office of Emergency Management Special Operations Group, Commander Jeffrey S. Paul. And the Morris County Sheriff's Emergency Response Team, or CERT, Corporal Matthew Salerso. Congratulations. Awards Group number 9, VALOR honorees. From the New Jersey State Police, Trooper Christopher Bonomo and Trooper Patrick Zdunik. Please come up to the stage. On October 18, 2019, Trooper Bonomo and Trooper Zdunek, both assigned to Troop B Nekong Station, were working an overnight patrol. At approximately 1:45 a.m., they were advised of a multiple vehicle accident on I-80 East in the area of exit 47A. They were also advised that the accident may have been caused by a wrong-way driver, and at least one vehicle was hit head-on and on fire. As the first ones to arrive on scene, Trooper Zdunek parked his marked patrol car in the right lane of I-80 East Express at milepost 45.2, just west of the accident scene. Trooper Bonomo and Trooper Zdunek ran from their vehicle to the burning, overturned silver Jeep straddling the right and center lanes. Trooper Bonomo observed an occupant inside the vehicle. Trooper Bonomo reached inside to cut the seatbelt, and the troopers worked together to pull the victim from the vehicle. As the victim emerged from the wreckage, his lower body was on fire. The troopers rolled in to extinguish the flames. Trooper Bonomo then moved the victim to a safe location on the left shoulder, further from the Jeep. Shortly afterward, this Jeep became fully engulfed in flames. The man was left in the care of an unknown Good Samaritan who had stopped at the scene to help. The troopers then approached a Toyota Corolla slightly east of the Jeep on the grass median separating the express and local roadways of I-80 eastbound. 3 unresponsive occupants were trapped in the Toyota and could not be moved. Trooper Bonomo updated dispatch, and both members worked to assess the occupants. Trooper Bonomo extinguished burning debris nearby which posed a risk to the Toyota. Parsippany Troy Hills officers arrived to assist, and CPR was initiated on the victim from the Jeep. Trooper Zdunek retrieved the automated external defibrillator, or AED, from the troop car and began to assist the officers. Additional New Jersey State Police patrols arrived and were quickly briefed by Trooper Bonomo. He returned to the Toyota to further assess the 3 victims and reported their conditions to dispatch. Trooper Bonomo then obtained a Halligan bar from a troop car and utilized it in an effort to assess the 3 victims. The damage to the vehicle was so extensive that only one occupant could be removed. Medical personnel and local fire departments arrived on scene. The driver of the Jeep was transported to St. Joseph's Regional Hospital in Patterson, where he was admitted in serious but stable condition. Unfortunately, the 3 occupants of the Toyota succumbed to their injuries at the scene of the accident. The quick and decisive actions of Trooper Christopher Bonomo and Trooper Patrick Zdunek were directly responsible for saving an individual's life. They risked their own safety to ensure the safety of others. Their actions have brought great pride and distinction to the New Jersey State Police and to the division specifically. Their commitment and dedication embody the core values of the New Jersey State Police of honor, duty, and fidelity. The 200 Club of Morris County hereby awards the coveted VALOR Award to VALOR honorees Trooper Christopher Bonomo and Trooper Patrick Zdunek of the New Jersey State Police. Congratulations.
Colonel Callahan.
Thank you, Sheriff. As I sit up here tonight and just listen, and I know there may be a few more, or at least one that sticks in all of our minds as far as valor goes, but I think of the last 4 words of the oath that every one of us in uniform took. And those last 4 words are, "So help me God." And as I tell the troopers when I have the opportunity, I ask them to remove the period after they're handed their badge and they walk off stage, because you really have to fill in that blank for the rest of their careers. And that is, so help me God, when I need to go out onto a frozen reservoir and save somebody's life and their dogs. So help me God, when I need to go to a car accident where there's fatal injuries. So help me God, when I need to go to a school bus accident and witness something that is so tragic in the attempts to bring children and teachers back to life. So as a man of God, I think I would be remiss if I didn't remind all of us to remember that oath that we took, to do it to the best of our ability, to do it with compassion, but to never forget to do it with the help of God. Congratulations to all the recipients.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Father Lancelot J. Rice of St. Virgil's Church, who will provide us with a benediction. Father Lance.
Lord God, thank you for these courageous men and women who have chosen such difficult and dangerous jobs: police officers, firefighters, emergency medical team members, doctors, nurses, and others. Thank you for their sacrifice and service. Thank you for their hard work in training and preparing. So keep our first responders safe in every situation. Give your angels charge concerning them to guard them in all their ways. Show yourself strong on their behalf and be their refuge and fortress in times of danger. Hide them in the shadow of your wings and let your faithfulness be their shield and rampart. God of all, we pray for those who responded at the first call. For those who rush towards danger, bring hope and comfort. For those who serve, protect and guide others to safety. Keep them in your care and safely protect them as they follow your command to love their neighbors. Father, we are so blessed to have these men and women who worked diligently for our safety and well-being, even when their jobs were difficult or thankless. Help us to continually remember to give thanks to you for their sacrifice and service to our community. May we touch heaven with prayers of gratitude whenever we see or personally encounter first responders. Give them the strength that you provide so that as they serve, you will be honored. And Lord, we ask through St. Michael the Archangel to watch over all these men and women who so generously devote themselves to helping others. Grant them courage when afraid, wisdom when they must make quick decisions, strength when weary, and compassion in all their work. When the alarm sounds and they are called to aid both friend and stranger, let them faithfully serve you in their neighbor. Amen.
Amen. This concludes our 2020 awards tribute. I'd like to thank people who made this possible. You heard from President Jim Rizzo of the 200 Club of Morris County, who has made the difference, provided great leadership during a tough time, 2020. It's been a tough year. He's provided great leadership to move this forward. Lori Richmond, who for years has been managing the club and doing a phenomenal job. There's nothing she doesn't do for the club so that we're successful, and we just couldn't do it without her. But Dr. Rob DeMedio, a member of the 200 Club, simply a great man, had the vision of doing this ceremony virtually. He brought to the club the fact that we can't not do this. We need to continue on in a new environment. And he embraced that. He's done all this video work. He's done photography for it. And he's worked tirelessly so that no one ever forgets that public safety community. Those police, fire, EMS, the Office of Emergency Management, all those people who are simply changing and saving lives. Lastly, awardees. The 200 Club thanks you from the bottom of our heart for what you do day in and day out. Not necessarily just 2020, but every year. God bless you all. and I wish you a safe journey forward. Thanks. God bless.